Within a few hours, Hurricane Milton is expected to make landfall on the west coast of Florida, the western coast.
Right now, just hours from landfall, we'll get the latest update on Hurricane Milton as it inches closer to Florida's Gulf Coast. Also, another political campaign stop in Dane County. We'll hear from Minnesota's First Lady Gwen Walz as she makes a visit to our area today to support the Harris-Walz ticket. And we're getting an update from Madison police after two recent shootings in the city. What to make of the recent incidents of gun violence. You're watching News 3 Now at 5. And just moments ago, President Biden addressed the nation as Hurricane Milton is now just hours away from landfall. Here's what he had.
We've already approved emergency declarations for Florida. We have thousands of federal personnel on the ground. And we've staged and are ready to go. We have 20 million meals, 40 million liters of water.
And the president also addressed rhetoric from former President Trump about the lack of response from the storm, calling it dangerous and unhelpful. And just 30 miles up the coast from where Hurricane Milton is set to hit, the community of Treasure Island, Florida, and many more are ending their cleanup efforts to evacuate or brace for the force of the storm. And this video from Treasure Island shows piles of debris on the side of the roads despite thousands of trucks working through the night across the state to clear as much debris as possible from Helene. And residents on Florida's Gulf Coast have varying opinions on how to weather this storm.
I don't have anywhere to go, and I'm afraid to get stranded somewhere on the interstate.
We were going to stay, but I don't want to take the chance.
Thinking that this storm could be the one that actually takes it all away is pretty scary.
I don't think anybody in the marina's leaving. No. They're just making sure their boats are tied down.
On the video, you can see dozens of ambulances lining up to help evacuate residents from Sarasota's nursing homes as rain starts to bear down on the coastal community just south of Tampa. And despite the Category 4 storm being nearly 100 miles away from the shoreline, it is already spinning up devastating tornadoes. Florida has had the most tornado warnings on record in a single day, 90 warnings with 11 confirmed tornadoes. And you're taking a live look right now. This is the shoreline in Clearwater Beach. We saw it yesterday and it looked like a postcard. Today, things changing and deteriorating rapidly there in Clearwater, Pinellas County, just north of the downtown Tampa area and St. Petersburg. More than 30,000 people are taking place in shelters there. They say there is space there for 200,000. We go live now to First Warren meteorologist Alex Harrington, who is at the Cooperative Institute for Meteorological Satellite Studies and telling us more on the work.
Yeah, that's right, Eric. SIMS is one of the renowned agencies, renowned all over the world for hurricane research. And we're going to talk to one of their leading experts coming up during Maine weather on this important question that I've actually received personally. Is the number of hurricanes making landfall on the west coast of Florida increasing or decreasing? We're going to hear the latest from scientists that spend all their waking hours on hurricane research. And we right now here can take a look at radar 3000 as we speak, and we are still tracking tornadoes over the eastern portion of Florida. Still a tornado warning just for a supercell thunderstorm. These thunderstorms, these are the types of storms we get in Wisconsin or out in the plains, and they are occurring, as Eric was mentioned, in Florida, where we see rotation right along the beachfront there, just north of Cocoa Beach, where you see that bright green against that bright red. That's actually rotation that very well could be producing a tornado. And as Eric was mentioning, Hurricane Milton is inching closer and closer to the shoreline. This is the eye wall south and west of the Tampa area that very likely is going to be producing a significant storm surge as we move through the rest of the evening, likely making landfall at approximately 10 p.m. as a strong Category 3 storm with that intense storm surge, very likely somewhere from Tampa to Sarasota and the communities very close to those areas. Our evening, beautiful. Temperatures falling through the 50s with clear skies. Again, coming up in Maine weather, we're going to talk to a leading hurricane expert here at SIMS, and I'm also going to let you know when we can expect widespread frost in southern Wisconsin.
All right, Alex, thank you. Look forward to that conversation. As we speak, utility crews from 23 Wisconsin municipalities are en route to lend hands and equipment to help restore power that may be lost after Hurricane Milton sweeps through. Armand Rahman caught up with them right before they set out.
With the sheer size and storm surge that Hurricane Milton is predicted to bring, utility crews from down south are reaching out to all corners of the country for help, including right here in Wisconsin.
This was basically a 24-hour turnaround time.
A quick turnaround with no real idea when they'll come back.
We tell everybody expect for 2 weeks. maybe more, maybe less.
But it was still a no-brainer for these 47 utility crew members.
I even had to turn down crews because we had too many over there.
The fleet of bucket trucks set out 1,200 miles to help restore power and clear broken lines after Hurricane Milton rolls through Florida.
We're going to do homes, make sure that key customers like hospitals and treatment plants are up and running over there too.
Linemen from Stoughton Utilities have been asking when they can go since the storms began.
We've had a lot of our own damage. We've had a lot of internal mutual aid within Wisconsin to help and support us, so we try to take every opportunity we can to help.
But these Midwest crews aren't used to the South's extreme heat, and no one is used to the floods and winds Milton is projected to bring.
So the water is high from storm surges and all the rain that comes up over there, so it could be up to 2-3 feet deep, and it's not easy to work in 2-3 feet deep of water when trying to restore electricity.
So they pack for all situations. Ladders to climb up broken poles, shovels to dig down under rubble, and their wits when dealing with an unpredictable storm.
We also have to expect the uninspected on there.
But one thing that's in no short supply?
We're here to help. It's the Midwest nice that we got.
The crews are expected to arrive in Kissimmee, Florida midday Thursday, right on the heels of Milton's landfall. Reporting in South Beloit, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
It's just a great effort. Many of this fleet actually went to Florida to help victims of Hurricane Ian 2 years ago in 2022. Well, Beloit was the focus of political campaigns today. First Lady of Minnesota, Gwen Walz, met with supporters downtown. On the other side of the city, Congressman Brian Stile also met with his own constituents. Political reporter Will Keneally caught up with him on the trail and joins us now with more. Will?
Well, Eric, Beloit is a relatively new part of the district for incumbent Republican Brian Stile. He used to be in the same district as Madison, represented by Democrat Mark Pocan. But there's still a familiarity for him about the city as he met with voters.
I spent about a decade working here in Beloit at a company that's
Stile says he still knows the good spots to eat downtown. Now, he says he took that experience with him to Congress.
And so coming from a private sector background, in particular a manufacturing industry here in Wisconsin, you see firsthand how the federal government gets in the way of preventing job growth and good wages here.
He says that's one of the main things he hears on the campaign trail talking to voters.
One, you got to control spending. Two, you got to address the regulations that are coming out of Washington, D.C. that are making things more expensive. And three, we need an all of the above energy approach to bring down the cost of energy so families can afford the things that they need.
Stile actually used to work for his predecessor in the district, Paul Ryan, before taking up the seat in 2018. Ryan has been vocal that he will not vote for Trump this fall. Stile tells us the campaign this fall is a referendum on the Biden-Harris administration.
I think we need to be united to make sure that we don't allow that to continue for 4 more years. That's why I'm in support of President Trump winning this fall and why I'm going to continue to work to make sure that we get there.
Now, Stile faces Democratic challenger Peter Barca this fall. We've reached out to the Barca campaign and expect to join him on the campaign trail coming up soon. Now, as you mentioned, Eric, this marked a busy day in Beloit as Minnesota First Lady Gwen Walz rallied with supporters in downtown Beloit. We'll hear more from Walz coming up tonight at 6.
Will, thank you. The Trump campaign sees some strong numbers. The latest Quinnipiac polling of what has long been known as a blue group of blue swing states, the blue wall as they call it. Vice President Harris has lost the lead both here in Wisconsin in this poll and in Michigan, and then her support is also waning in Pennsylvania. In Wisconsin, it is Trump now with a 48-46 lead after trailing last month 48-47. In Michigan, Trump now leads by 3 points. Now, that is a sizable 8% shift in the last month. And while the vice president leads in Pennsylvania 49-46%, Trump has cut that lead in half in just a month's time. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul is joining a coalition of 22 attorneys general in seeking a southern court to enforce its investigation into the social media platform TikTok. The coalition urging a Tennessee court to enforce its orders requiring TikTok to comply with a multi-state consumer protection investigation. Courts are also asking the social media company to produce evidence in this case that started 2 years ago. Attorney General Kaul says, quote, "We must ensure that there is accountability for violations of consumer protection laws that led to harms to youth mental health." 2 shootings this past weekend in Madison left 1 person injured, and the other would leave behind 80 shell casings. Our Jalen Banks spoke with the Madison Police Department on these recent shootings and the latest numbers on shootings in the city. Jalen?
Eric, this past weekend we had back-to-back shootings, as you just mentioned. One on the 200 block of North Thompson Street, the other on the 400 block of West Gilman Street. This would bring the city of Madison's shootings this year so far as of October 7th up to 98. That is down from 121 the same time a year ago. That is a 19% decrease in shootings. And speaking to the department, they believe the decrease comes from building connections within the community.
And we've really focused on providing outreach. We have a community outreach officer who spends time in that district every week, visiting some of the apartment complexes and just really developing relationships with people. So that way, if there is a problem that's brewing, she can step in early on and say, hey, let's resolve this in a positive way and not, using violence or another negative way.
Shootings in the Gilman Street area are down from 3 from a year ago as well. For more on crime stats in the city of Madison, you can find it on our website at channel3000.com.
Jalen, thank you. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington returns next. More details on our forecast, plus the latest look at Hurricane Milton closing in on landfall. Plus the latest update says the outcry over a moved ballot drop box in the city of Wausau continues. That's just ahead. And record high closes once again for the Dow and the S&P 500. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, a massive 422-point climb. The NASDAQ adds 109. S&P 500 gains about 41. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now, brought to you by Cardinal Heating and Air Conditioning.
I can honestly say that Cardinal has never let me down.
I definitely recommend Cardinal Heating and Air Conditioning because of the professionalism.
Cardinal will always be my first call for anything that Cardinal does.
I think we're going to continue to use Cardinal for a long time.
With Sweeto Metal Roofing, you get quality metal roofs installed by the best in the business. A metal roof means no fading, no storm repairs, true sustainability, and lower energy bills.
Sweeto Metal Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
Think Sloan's first.
The big thing about Sloan's is the ease of doing business. They make everything simple. We choose Sloan's and John Deere because we have availability of equipment, quality service, quality parts, and they have the ability to keep us up and running.
Gear up for fall savings time is on now at Sloan Implement. Get your John Deere Z530M with 1.9% for 36 months. Includes your 54-inch mowing deck.
Power up with Sloan's. Think Sloan's first.
You've got this. Your big moment on their big day. The dress? Another one you'll never wear. Gift? Practical. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with early pay on direct deposits. So when you get invited to your third destination wedding in as many months, we'll be there with you.
When we first met Todd, we thought Jen was kidding.
You've got this with Associated Bank.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
You heard him.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
What would Eric Hovde do in the Senate? Mitch McConnell and extremists would gain a majority. The power to ban abortion nationwide. No exceptions for rape or incest. Criminal penalties for doctors. More extreme anti-abortion judges on the courts.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
Eric Hovde, what's wrong with this guy?
Prices are up, wages are down, inflation is crushing Wisconsin families. Yet Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Even more radical, Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. Tax hikes and higher prices for families and those living on fixed incomes. That's Kieski's record. Expensive and extreme. Reject Sarah Kieski and her radical agenda.
Brian Stiles said he's proud of his extreme record. So why is he lying about it? Stiles said he was proud to be part of a group pushing to gut Social Security and Medicare, that he proudly supports abortion bans. And Brian Stiles said he's proud to be backed by extremists pushing a total ban nationwide. Peter Barca's backed by police, firefighters, and unions because Peter puts Wisconsin first, no matter the party, and that's something to be proud of.
I'm Peter Barca, and I approve this message.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Welcome back. Governor Tony Evers is announcing more than $1.5 billion in shared revenue for local governments next year. The shared revenue includes 8 programs that provide state aid to different communities, schools, and districts around the state. Shared revenue funds can be used for things like law enforcement, emergency services, and transportation. Roughly $800 million will be divided between each county and municipality in the state, with the remaining amounts going to other utility needs and property tax exemptions. Up in Wausau, many residents are still up in arms over a ballot box conundrum. And protesters and supporters marched outside City Hall as council members evaluated possibly removing the drop box in front of City Hall there. At the end of September, you'll recall Mayor Doug Dinney removed a ballot box in front of City Hall, claiming it was not properly secured. However, the city clerk is the only city official authorized to handle election materials, a distinction that city members disagreed about at a council meeting last night.
It's absolutely insane. You guys are trying to penalize and you guys are trying to kick this guy out of office, Mayor Dinney here. I think he's done a fantastic job. I mean, you look at it, I don't think the clerk did her job.
We see what you're doing. We won't stand for it. Making it harder to vote is out of touch with Wisconsin values.
The drop box removal by Dinney continues to be investigated by the Department of Justice. Taking a live look right now, the coast of Florida, Hurricane Milton has been downgraded to a Category 3, but is still posing a major threat to Sarasota up through Tampa, the southern Gulf side of Florida as well. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered for over a dozen counties in Florida, amounting to over 11 million people. Officials have told residents that if they stay in the mandatory evacuation zone, there is little to no chance of survival against the still expected to be very high storm surge there. And we want to get a look at your first warn forecast now. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington is at the Sims tracking facility there, tracking Hurricane Milton, keeping an eye on our local forecast. Some real tropical weather experts there, Alex.
Yes, Eric. Some of the best tropical weather experts in the entire world are just right down the road from our station, right here in Madison, Wisconsin, at the Cooperative Institute for Meteorological Satellite Studies. And I'm joined with one of them, that's Sarah Griffin. And we were just talking, or Eric was just mentioning, that there's concern that significant storm surge is about ready to impact the coast. And you have some concerns here with the latest on Milton with your tools. Tell us what some of your concerns are right now with Milton.
Well, right now, one of my main concerns with Milton is where Milton is going to make landfall. When you're talking about a hurricane, when you're talking about storm surge, a lot of that storm surge is going to be to the south and out of the head of the hurricane. So if Milton makes landfall south of Tampa Bay, most of the storm surge is going to be south. And while that's obviously devastating for those communities, it does spare Tampa Bay and the major city from that devastating storm surge. And with the current National Hurricane Center forecast from 4 o'clock, so only an hour ago, it had Milton making landfall just south of Tampa Bay. Now, as we look at some of the stuff that are some of the products, some satellite data, which we can get here at the University of Wisconsin, you can see the images here, but I really want to draw your attention to the image down here.
Yeah, let's look at these over here.
So what this image is this is our UW-Sims TC track, and it's something that you can get online from our website. You just, once you get to our main page, you click on the hurricane symbol and this will come up. And what I have displayed here right now is infrared imagery, and then this is the past and the forecast track of Hurricane Milton. And you can see, as I mentioned, making landfall just south of Tampa Bay. Now, Milton right now is weakening. It's undergoing some severe wind shear. That's what's causing a lot of the tornadoes that we saw earlier. It's ingesting dry air. So the good news is that it's weakening. Unfortunately, when it comes to the storm surge, that doesn't have as much of an impact. But since it's weakening, we do not have an eye. And we can't see anything either in our visual imagery up here, or what I have plotted down here is infrared imagery, which is something we can see day or night.
And you had a microwave image that you wanted to show that had some concern that we might want to tell our viewers.
Yeah. So if I put on, this is a microwave imagery. So what a microwave satellite can do is it can see, obviously it's not like visibly seen, but it can see through the clouds. And this is what we can use to get the structure of hurricanes. So if you kind of look, if you were to draw a circle, you would probably put the eye of Milton right here. And it looks like it may be heading currently a bit north of track. North of track would put it more on a head-on collision with Tampa and the storm surge. Now, obviously, these things are wobble. It's very well known that hurricanes will wobble, sometimes tens of miles the eye before it makes landfall. So we're not sure if that's actually what's happening, but it is a little scary to think that, especially like I have a cousin who is currently sheltering in place just outside of Tampa.
Our thoughts are with all folks on the west coast of Florida right now. Thank you so much, Sarah. Coming up at 6, though, we're going to talk to Sarah about the climatology of hurricanes, and we're going to talk about whether or not the number of hurricanes hitting the west coast of Florida is increasing or decreasing. Thanks, Sarah. More coming from Sarah at 6 o'clock. Real quick with our forecast, planning the evening, beautiful evening across southern Wisconsin. Temperatures will eventually get down into the 40s for much of southern Wisconsin. A little patchy frost, can't rule that out. North of Madison up towards areas north of the Dells. And we got a beautiful day on tap for Thursday. Another beautiful one. Temperatures well into the 70s across southern Wisconsin with sunny skies. And lastly here, our forecast is really all about the temperatures. Not a lot of water in the forecast across southern Wisconsin. We're going all the way up to 80 degrees on Friday, and then a series of cold fronts will get us back down into the 50s as we go into early next week when we're expecting widespread frost across southern Wisconsin. Reporting live here from Sims downtown. News 3 now.
All right, Alex, thank you. Just ahead, we'll continue to keep a close eye on Hurricane Milton as we update you on 2 recent local fatal crashes. The news continues ahead at 5.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
When replacing your windows, you want them to be built by the best and backed by the best. That's what you'll get with replacement windows only available from Renewal by Andersen. When you choose Renewal by Andersen and want to keep remodeling, you're not getting a one-size-fits-all product. From design and sales to manufacturing, installation, and service, we own the entire process. This month only, save $377 per window and $777 per patio door, plus 1 year no payment, no interest financing. Visit wanakeremodeling.com for more details.
Billionaire banker Eric Hovde has a plan for Social Security.
Do you favor either raising the retirement age or cutting benefits?
I favor both.
Raising the retirement age?
You have to start changing the retirement age.
Hovde wants to raise the retirement age as high as 72. And Hovde just proposed cutting Social Security by 28%, costing the average beneficiary more than $6,000 a year. Eric Hovde, what's wrong with this guy?
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
Building that middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Compare that to Trump. He fights for himself and his billionaire friends. He intends to enact a national sales tax, the Trump tax, that would raise prices on middle class families by $4,000 a year. Instead of a tax hike, we will pass a middle class tax cut that will benefit more than 100 million Americans.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
Kamala Harris is going to significantly raise taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
The right to vote is the foundation of democracy. For decades, we have been forced to fight voter suppression to increase voter turnout in the black community, while overcoming barriers designed to undermine voter participation. The NAACP of Wisconsin believes your vote matters, and we urge you to double-check your voter information at myvotewisconsin.gov. In-person absentee voting begins Tuesday, October 22nd. Now let's be all in to vote on November 5.
Finally, I get to see the doctor I want to see because I made the switch. I had Medicare Advantage, but I had to drop my primary care doctor and navigate confusing medical networks to find a new one. I thought my coverage was good enough, but nothing was ever easy. I found a better way with a Medicare supplement insurance plan from WPS. No worries, no hassles, no networks. Now, my friends are the only network I need.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Over 100 people have been cited for underage drinking after an inspection at a Regent Street bar. Police say on Friday night, dozens of fake IDs were confiscated and 131 people were cited. That was about 82% of the bar's capacity. Most citations carry up to a $1,000 fine, and resisting or obstructing carries a $430 fine. Now, officers say if you are caught underage drinking, they say be honest about who you are, because if you lie, you could face more than just one citation. A man is dead after a crash in the village of Windsor. The Dane County Sheriff's Office says it happened about 11:30 yesterday morning after county's highways V and C, just northwest of DeForest. The driver of a Toyota RAV4 reportedly ran a stop sign going north, was hit by a Ford truck eastbound. A 63-year-old man was extracted from the Toyota but later died at the scene. A 47-year-old Portage woman was taken to a local hospital but is expected to recover. Once again, a live look at Florida along the Gulf Coast there ahead of Hurricane Milton's landfall. This is downtown Tampa. The Red Cross expanding its donations now to cover the victims of Hurricane Helene as well as those to be impacted by Hurricane Milton. You can head to channel3000.com. We have a link there right at the top of the page where you can donate there, and donations from our viewers have now topped $6,000 for Helene victims so far. We'll have a final check of your first warn forecast when we come back.
Not everyone knows us, but in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana, we are famous in our field. As a Sloan's technician, customer service is our specialty, whether you come to see us or we come to you. We are in the business of supporting your business, and we are highly trained to work on your John Deere equipment. At Sloan's, our loyalty lies with you. We depend on you, and we are proud to serve you. When it comes to service, you can count on us. Remember, think Sloan's first.
My name is Bill. I am retired. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I live here in Wisconsin. I am not a political person, but Eric Hovde doesn't understand how important Social Security and Medicare are around here. I'm on Social Security, and Hovde said he absolutely supported cuts to Social Security and Medicare. Imagine working longer, paying into the system, and then poof, you're paying your bills with less. He knows it. Cutting Social Security and Medicare will cost us. He just doesn't care.
WinSenate is responsible for the content of this message.
When it's time for better storage, Dakota Closets is the solution. Menards carries a great selection of closets that are perfect for any space. For home offices, laundry rooms, standard closets, and even storage for your kids' playrooms. There are so many ways to store your items. And with Dakota Closets, you can do it with style and ease. Right now, get this Dakota Closet system for $839.98 after 11% rebate.
Save big money at Menards.
Join us at the Madison Fall Parade of Homes, exclusively sponsored by Nuns. Don't miss your chance to visit the area's top newly constructed homes filled with the latest trends and technology. Go to MadisonFallParadeOfHomes.com and purchase your tickets today.
We wanted to be able to enjoy all 4 seasons, and patio enclosures helped us make that dream come true.
The one and only patio enclosures.
I'm working harder than ever just to pay the bills and provide for my family. But here's what Kamala Harris thought my money should go to instead. Job training for illegal immigrants, even after they commit crimes in America. Hotel rooms for illegal immigrants while our vets sleep on the street. Sex changes for illegal immigrants out of my pocket. Seriously, have these people lost their mind? Kamala Harris can never, ever be our president.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
He murdered a father of 3, sentenced to life in prison. Kamala Harris pushed to use tax dollars to pay for his sex change.
I made sure that they changed the policy so that every transgender inmate would have access.
It sounds insane because it is insane. Kamala was the first to help pay for a prisoner's sex change.
The power that I had, I used it in a way that was about pushing for the movement, frankly, and the agenda.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Coming up tonight right here on the CBS Evening News, Hurricane Milton barrels towards Florida, set to become one of the most catastrophic storms to hit the state in a century. The White House is warning it will be unlike anything residents have ever seen before. Well, we've got full team coverage of the dangerous weather. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And we go to Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington now. A final check of our forecast. Alex?
Yeah, Eric, live here from SIMS, the Cooperative Institute for Meteorological Satellite Studies, all disposal to anything that we want related to Hurricane Milton. Definitely tune in at 6 o'clock. We'll talk to one of the researchers here, Sarah, on whether or not the number of hurricane landfalls on the west coast of Florida is increasing or decreasing. And as you mentioned, Eric, our forecast, let's take a look at that 10-day forecast, all the way up to 80 degrees on Friday. Can you believe that? Summer-like, but then those temperatures crash to fall-like readings by the time we get out into early next week. High temperatures struggling in the 50s, lows in the upper 20s to right around 30. So widespread frost and perhaps a hard freeze expected early next week. Back to you, Eric.
All right, Alex, thank you. And we take a final look right now at Sarasota Bay as Hurricane Milton sets its sights on the coast. Landfall expected in the Sarasota area in the next